Hey teachers, are you interested in learning how to build transformed classroom communities in 9 easy steps? Well, if you are, stay tuned and welcome to Engaging Curiosity. This is our topic for today. As I get started, I just want to remind you that if you enjoy this or get anything out of this, that like and subscribe below, because I am here to empower classroom teachers to take charge in the classroom. And it would be nice to get out there to as many teachers as possible, especially these days when so many schools and districts and countries are working with teachers that haven't had the opportunity to get proper support and training. I want to reach out to those students and say, here's what I know. And if you would engage the process, then we're just colleagues together on a larger playing field. Anyways, let's dig into it. I warn you, I am a fast talker, forgive me, and remember there's a pause button if you're going to take notes, and but I'm trying to keep the video short, so let's get going. So first of all, let's talk about what is classroom community, and you'll see me glance down. Yes, I have my notes because so many reasons. Anyways, classroom communities are everywhere, literally everywhere, but not all classroom communities are the same. And so for the purpose of the blog, I am going to define what I mean when I'm referring to a classroom community. Okay, and this is really important to me, so you will see me glancing down a lot for this one. In my humble opinion, a healthy, emphasis on healthy classroom community is a group of adults and children, if you're plural, if you're fortunate to have some support or a parent visiting you in the classroom, and children who come together to learn and to grow. With adult guidance, they have decided together, that's building expectations together, how they will treat each other. And within that decision, each individual has a role. In this community, there is an expectation that everyone will feel a sense of kinship or relationship with everybody else in the class. Of course, the degrees of connection will be different, but everyone is expected to interact with everyone else in a respectful, kind, caring, and helpful way. Every voice matters, and everyone helps each other out to the best of their individual ability. And that's what's key, because everybody has different things to offer. A healthy community is a transformative place where everyone feels physically and emotionally safe. Okay, so there's a lot packed into that. And again, there's a pause button down below if you need it. So healthy classroom communities. Standing in the middle of a classroom one day, I looked around. It was noisy, messy, and busy, as most healthy classroom communities are. This organized chaos was my favorite way to teach, and I knew it was only possible because we, the students and I, had intentionally built healthy and appropriate boundaries all year long. You'll hear more about classroom expectations and how I develop them on other videos or on my blog posts. But for the purpose of this, I'm not going to go into it. We were making kelp that day, and so paper kelp, because we were studying the Great Bear Rainforest and the Great Bear Sea, my passion unit, so that we could hang it from the ceiling to create a seal garden as a part of our study of other cultures. Everyone had been given instructions and assigned a random partner. Of course, in my class, everyone still preferred to work with their bestie, but they kindly worked with everyone, and they loved drawing random partners. I think it was because they felt like they were opening up a treasure box every time. For whatever reason, they loved it. They always requested it, and they preferred it that way. Only once had I ever seen a student show directly show independent. Only once had I ever seen a student directly show disappointment. Only once had I ever seen a student show disappointment directly at the random partner that they had been assigned. The child who registered negative feelings was new to our class, and he only did it that one time. He could feel right away that that was not how we behaved in our classroom. Nobody said anything or did anything unkind. Everybody just went silent. And I think he looked around and realized that nobody else was doing this. Anyways, it was the only time that he did that. And the beauty for him was that he had been bullied at his prior school. And when he realized he was safe, he blossomed. And I mean, academically, socially, And his behavior in the classroom changed, his attitude towards me changed, and it was great to witness. And he became safe to work with too. That was the beauty of it. Okay, so first you've got to choose some strategies for building classroom community. In my humble opinion, again, building classroom community is one of the best, if not the actual best part of teaching. I mean, I have great fun teaching the subjects. I'm a lifelong learner. I learned when I taught middle school that I love math and science. Who knew? High school, that was not the case. But I love to facilitate student collaboration and interactions even more. My favorite times of the week were when students would stop and just play, because kids need to play, and I facilitated that a lot. Okay, so there are a few basics to establishing a vibrant classroom community. First of all, it starts with you. Create a warm and welcoming environment. Greet them, get to know them each, and listen with interest to what they're excited with you to share with you. Sorry about that. 2, build classroom expectations together and then refer back to it and reinforce it. 3, give them time to interact with each other. My kiddos had free time and class time every single day, or at least free time every single day, classroom time every single day, or at least multiple times a week to interact with each other. 4, get them collaborating. This doesn't have to be big projects. It doesn't have to be about academics. A broom and a dustpan require collaboration, okay? Give them a chance to be heard. My kiddos once told me they preferred it when I put up the shape of the day at karmic time. They could ask questions and they had their input, no problem. One last job for me to remember to do after school. Embrace diversity by finding a way to celebrate everyone's differences. Promote leadership. Help them to help each other. Everyone has something to offer. This could be as simple as being in charge of organizing how to stack chairs. I was amazed by how many different opinions there are on that. Okay? 8, incorporate peer support when they can work together, learn from each other, and learn to be helped by others. Everybody has something they can contribute. And sometimes the strong academics tend to feel that they are pulling the load. But sometimes what they need to learn from others is how to be gracious and kind and patient and humble. And they can learn that from their peers. Okay, then you need to decide upon activities to build classroom community. There are so many great activities for building classroom community, but of course I have my favorites, and I think they are my favorites because of the feedback I got from the students, frankly. I think that they were so engaged, so enthusiastic, so receptive, literally cheering, that why wouldn't they become my favorites? I love the response. Okay, so every morning I greeted my students at the door. So of course the relationship started with the relationship with me. The requirements for me were that they look me in the eyes and say good morning. They got to choose whether it was a handshake, high five, fist bump, or a hug, because body autonomy. And I also used it as an opportunity to teach them they were totally within their rights to say no. Never got any parent pushback on that. We also, every morning, we did laps around the school. They could run, walk, skip, or twirl their way around the school as far as I was concerned. I walked 2 laps, and when I was finished 2 laps, people were required to come in as they finished their last lap around the school. They could do as many laps as they wanted to around the school, and stopping when I had done 2, but if they did 2, they were welcome to stop at 2 and just wait for me outside of the classroom door, which opened into the playground. Okay, this is great for kiddos, by the way, who are still asleep when they get to school. It's great for the stragglers who are consistently late, and it is great for the students with ADHD who need to get the yayas out before they come into the classroom. Another thing that we used in our classroom was random partner cards, and yes, they loved it, even though it meant they got to work with their choice of partner less frequently. Sight word games. I know science of reading is everything right now, and so I'm not going to get into a big discussion on why we did sight word games. Maybe that will come in a different blog. I'm just going to say you could do the same thing with any spelling program. Ours just happened to be sight word games. We played math games pretty much every day. We did active games during math, during social studies, during, not so much during writing, but during a lot of content areas. It could be as simple as skip counting as you do jumping jacks, okay? We had whole group discussions, lots of hands-on with socials and science activities, free reading time. I had a massive classroom library that they loved during free time. And of course for their book boxes, because it was all leveled, which yes, it's a ton of work, but once it's done, whew, so worth it and easy to stay on top of. Anyways, pro tip for you, I know that a box this big of books can cost $1,000 if they're brand new. If, however, you go to your local library, and our local library twice a year sells their books, beautiful hardcover picture books, $1 each. I once spent $225 and I did a rough calculation and I got somewhere between $12,000 and $20,000 worth of books because they were so affordable. STEM kits. Now you can get technical STEM kits. What a waste of money, honestly, if you want to just let the kids freely go at it without with minimal supervision. Get things like pluses and minuses, snowflakes, paper clips, straws and Play-Doh, index cards and paper clips. There are so many things that are cheap that you can use for STEM kits. Just let them have access to them. They love it. I also had parents bring in things that their kids no longer played with, and those were a great addition as far as, Lego bricks or not Duplo, but the connector toys. Okay. We had games for free time use, garage sales are where I got them, and math games that we had. Star of the Week is when students took an opportunity to get up in front of the classroom and share a little bit about themselves. Great activity for students sharing. They loved it. They waited with bated breath for their turn. At the beginning of COVID, I had 2 students left in my classroom to share in March, and the quietest little girl in my classroom was so disappointed. And when I said to her, hey, you can still share on Zoom if you'd like. And she was all for it. And when we went back to class, in-person learning in June for 4 days, then she got to, because part of the Star of the Week process was being the line leader and reading one of their favorite books. So she finished up the process there, but showing her poster on Zoom was important to her. And it was not the fanciest poster I've ever seen. I'm holding it like this because she just did a little 8.5 by 11 cardboard poster, but she wanted to. Star of the Week is awesome. Small group discussion. Chores are a great classroom builder because you're not doing them with your bestie. In my class, they're assigned. Prayer requests and prayer, a great way to get to know each other and support each other, build community. Scripture reading, we all read it together, we discussed it. Social emotional learning, stories and discussion, where we talk about our feelings, and there'll be more about that in other blog posts and videos, because I intend there are resources coming for social emotional learning. It's just so integral, and I know it's a controversial subject in some areas, so I'm going to create resources that integrate with other subject areas to make it easier for all of you to stay integral with social emotional learning while not disobeying your districts and schools. Okay, I know that as you build classroom community, there's a whole bunch of chatting that starts, because that's what classroom community does. So that's why it's really important to have your expectations in class, and some teachers don't want classroom community because then transitioning. So let's talk about transitioning. We'll talk about implementing the 9 steps to how to build classroom community through implementation, and we'll address transitioning in there a little bit. Once you have the strategies in classroom community activities, you need the steps to implementation. Okay, so I'm going to give you my 9 steps for managing transitions and building a classroom community. So 1, classroom expectations. This does build classroom community because everybody feels safe and secure with each other. It also helps with the transitioning, because the reason they feel safe and secure with each other is because you reinforce the expectations. You teach them, you refer back to them. They know you mean it, and they've helped you plan them in my ideal world. And again, there's another blog post and video on that. Instruction is number 2. So make sure when you're giving instructions for transition that the students know what the activity requires. Otherwise, transitioning becomes a mess because these students are all, what do we do? What do we get next? I forget. Did you know? Did you hear? I didn't hear. Okay, so make sure your instruction is clear, even so far as running through what do you need for this activity before you get started. Writing it on the board is great. Be organized, okay? If you're worried about transitions and you're not realizing that you're impacting your own transitions because you're disorganized, nothing creates chaos like free time waiting for the teacher. They're suddenly dysregulated and now you're going to ask them to transition. That doesn't work so well. 4, choices. Let students know that at the first sign of off-task behavior, you will understand that they are making the choice to do the alternate activity. Carry through. It will only take once or twice. I remember one little boy who just loved to chat, and he was a strong student and he knew it. He nicknamed himself blah blah the Great. And so very first day when he was getting up and decided to talk to his friend and blow through all the rules, I looked at him and I said, so you have a choice between getting to work, playing the game, or I have these black and white paper pencil worksheets instead. You choose. Never a problem again, not one single time. Okay, carry through quietly with a smile, love, grace, mercy. Let them know that you still love them. This isn't about them being a bad person or a person that you dislike. This is about them learning how to regulate, learning who you are, and learning what these behavioral expectations look like. When they're all cleaned up, tell them how well they did. Tell them that they transitioned well. Let them know that that's what you expect of them. Okay, and if it's been a lot of up and excitement and moving, these kids are using up a whole lot of energy, a whole lot of their developmental stamina, following the expectations, doing the learning, engaging with their peers, which is a stretch for some of them, and staying focused on the activity. They will need a quieter activity afterwards. Developmentally, they may no longer be able to make appropriate choices in a more dysregulated environment. So don't keep going with the dysregulation. If you have to, like I would do math games right before lunch recess. Social science and social studies always came before PE, which helped them to burn off the energy, and reading always came at the end of the day. But then they were ready for some time to themselves because they'd spent so much time in relationship with their peers all day. Okay, when you try again the next day, tell them how much better they did. If you have a crappy day, you're going to have to communicate this in some way, not at the very end of the day. You don't want to end the day that way. But tomorrow when they do better, let them know. You know what, guys? We had a bit of a rough stretch yesterday. Wow, do you guys come back fresh? And I love what you did today. Thank you so much for understanding how much we want to care for each other. Okay? So classroom communities are your secret to success. I'm not saying that by building your classroom community, there will never be any behavior problems again. This just isn't true. I'm going to say that almost every child is likely to behave better when they feel safe and secure. The truth is that classroom community and the well-regulated hum of positive behavior that it supports means that every other child who is actively engaged in learning will have the freedom to address the little rascal who is off task. While they're behaving, you can do what you need to do. It may be that that little rascal needs you to do that activity one-on-one together, or they may need your support while they work with their peer. Because of classroom community, because of what you've built in as far as boundaries and practice with transitioning, you now have the ability to offer it to the little rascal while everyone else is engaged. Building classroom communities made everything possible for the classroom that I envisaged, and that's why classroom management is my passion, because I just saw so much growth and it was wonderful contributing to what the students did. The classroom community allowed me to be the teacher that I dreamed of being. I pray it does the same thing for you. And so as I wrap up, I just want to say that if you have any classroom community tips that you would like to share, please leave them in the comment below. Again, we are colleagues, teaching and empowering each other. Teachers are a great support to each other, a great resource for each other. Also, again, please like and subscribe if you got anything out of this, so I can continue to support and empower other teachers in their classroom. You will find a number of links below on how you can reach me. There's also a link to my free classroom management checklist. It's called Calm the Chaos because that's what classroom management does, is calm the chaos. There are 5 pillars in there, and within each pillar there are subheadings, and there are also goal sheets so that you can set short-term and long-term goals. So the checklist helps you to go, yeah, I'm at it. I'm getting started. I'm pat myself on the back. The goals help you to know where you decide to go next, because our classrooms are all different. Every classroom you're ever going to have is different, but it's also different from your colleagues, and you need to set goals for your specific class. So anyways, I hope you download that, and it was so great to see you. Hope to see you again soon. Bye now.